Thank you so much, Dr. Michel Abs, for accepting our invitation for this interview. You are the General Secretary of the Middle East Council of Churches, and we are here to hear from you about the situation in Lebanon these days. Would you want to say a few words of greetings to our audience?
Yes, hello. I'm happy that I'm be able to communicate our vécu, as we say in French, our feelings, our experience, our daily pain in Lebanon with the international community. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
My first question to you is, what's going on in Lebanon today, and what are the main causes, in your opinion, of this situation?
Well, if I have to go to the one main root cause, and very old one, which is 30 years old, is very simply that when the war ended in 1990, instead of choosing people who did not participate to the war to give them the rule of the country, they confided the rule of the country to those who made the war. So the people of the war continued their war on the Lebanese, not between each other, on their own way with economical, political, and other means. Those who took the rule, they were able to institutionalize a new rule of corruption. Corruption ever since the 90s became a main rule in governing the country. It was a feature in the past, it was a characteristic. At that time, it became a rule, it became under the law. Corruption became protected by the law. Being able to protect their corruption, they carried on with exploiting the country. They pilfered the country throughout 30 years. The ruling class pilfered the country systematically, the resources, the money, the real estate, and everything else. And they made all sorts of corrupt rules. We have corrupt legislation in Lebanon. They made corrupt rules to govern the country. Now, gradually, corruption did not remain only a feature of the ruling class. Neither it was only a feature of the civil servants, because they were corrupted before the war, but it was the small corruption, the small gift of nothing. Whereas after the war, it became systematic. They systematically pilfered the treasury, the money of the government, and later on they went to the banks and they pilfered the money of the banks. This is our case now. The governor of the central bank, instead of being the protector of the people's savings, it's a whole life savings of 5 million to 7 million people. Those who are abroad too, they were sending money because they had faith in the Lebanese banking sector. And they sent lots of money. They used to send every year $8 billion to Lebanon, the immigrants. So everybody was believing that the Lebanese banking system was still strong, because it was strong. It's a 100 years old banking system, the best one in the Middle East. So they kept pouring money into the system. At a certain time, the governor of the central bank, opened the floodgates to the government, and they could take the money which is in the banks. This money was sent outside. We are an importing country, so we rely lots of foreign currencies, mainly dollars. We have no dollars now in Lebanon to import, from the baby milk till the medicines, till everything, till the spare parts of cars, till air conditioners, till fridges, till any commodity. And in the same time, they were focusing, this same class was focusing so much on making the country become more and more a services country, whereas we have a very good industry, and we were the warehouse of Rome in the antiquity, in that period. The agriculture is almost zero in Lebanon. So we have no self-sufficiency agriculture, and we have a poor industry, which means that the incoming foreign currencies are much, much less than what's going out. Plus the fact that this ruling class, when they felt that something was going to be wrong, they sent almost, and everybody knows that, this is not a secret, $300 billion outside. 90% of this money is stolen from the Lebanese, from the banks and from their pockets, via taxes which are illegal and inhuman. The taxes in Lebanon are not a measure, are not an instrument of social policy, socio-economic policy. the taxes in Lebanon are means of theft. The problem is that the whole population is becoming corrupt. Very much corruption is in the day, everybody in the street has the tendency to become corrupt because they're hungry. You know, the people who are now, I mean, we have subsidized the products. They subsidize, let's say, the 20 liter of fuel. It's let's say it was 40,000 lira, and that became 70,000 lira. In Syria, it's 250,000 compared to Lebanon. So lots of Lebanese are taking all these products, be it gasoline, be it medicines, be it every other product which is subsidized by the government, which price is lower than in Syria, and they're smuggling it to Syria. And the country is not only indebted and in bad shape, but it's also lacking of lots of products. We don't have drugs, medicines. We don't have, lots of products are lacking. And this is partly because Syria is under siege. And those who made Syria under siege knew indirectly that Lebanon will be affected. They couldn't not guess that, because they know that between Lebanon and Syria, the borderline is almost open. You have homes in Lebanon, which kitchen is in Syria. The land was so much close to each other. It was the same land historically. It was the same country. So problem after a problem after you know, we're having electricity 1 hour a day or less. Now I came home to make this interview because I'm not sure if the man of the generator at my office will be nice enough to keep it or to stop it at any time. Whereas at my home, I control my generator. I'm sure that it will carry on. And now I'm on generator. If the electricity will come from the government, we'll have to cut and resume. This is an abnormal and really, really unbearable life. The daily life in Lebanon became hell, totally. There is no gasoline. Cars are waiting for 2-3 hours to get 20 liters of gasoline from a gas station in Lebanon, all over Lebanon, because it's smuggled. The medicines which are under subsidy from the government, we find them in Europe, we find them in Africa and everywhere. So for this, I mean, that Lebanese, because he became very needy, he became corrupt. They go collect medicines or collect whatever is subsidized and take it abroad and sell it. So the country and the culture and the psychology, the psyche of people is in very bad shape. This is a crime being committed against the Lebanese. It's a sort of collective genocide, but very silent and without fire. This is a genocide. Lebanese are living a real systematic genocide.
Thank you. My next question is, how do you see the role of a council of churches in such a complex context? And then the role of the churches themselves, what kind of bridges the churches can build, and what kind of convening role can the Middle East Council of Churches play in such a complex situation?
Yes, let me distinguish two chapters in your question. One is the Middle East Council of Churches as a church togetherness, doing it in the name of the churches or on behalf of the churches. And other thing, what the churches are doing. The churches are doing their usual services. They try to help their people or other people as much as they can. Now we went back to square one, which I call the food parcel and the sewing machine. This is the problem. We went back to the square one, which is the square of food parcel, because people are needy. So the churches are trying to do it. They make they work at the psychological level. They make training sessions, awareness building. They make trauma healing. At the same time, they help in sometimes tuition fees, sometimes in food parcels, in medication, and so on. But you have to know that for 5 million in Lebanon and 20 million in Syria, I mean, our churches are here and there. Whatever are our possible resources, it's tiny, it's epsilon compared to the huge volume of needs. One important thing the churches are doing is their focus on the income generating work, or what I call in my jargon, in my language, as the MECC, occupational training and development, OTD. So they're doing that, helping lots to start a business, to train, they repair, they rehabilitate business, they rehabilitate homes, and so on. And we are doing the same thing, but not wider scale, in a more diversified scale. Till now, we are dealing with the area of the air of the port, Beirut port. You know about the blast that happened last year. So we're still helping people there. We're helping people in schooling, in medical care, in hygiene, in rehabilitation, in occupational work, in so many fields. And we're preparing new fields. Now we're launching a new program on which I'm betting a lot. It's a program which is focusing on the healing of the social capital and the value system, and the work to restore the human dignity. The human dignity in this country is smashed, and the social structures are crumbling down because the socio-economic and political structures are crumbling down. So we're starting, I prepared already the proposal, and we're preparing the plan of action to deal with this. It will be a huge program. I wish I'll be able to do it. I'm betting my life to do it, because we have to sensitize people again. We're a proud country. We have very much pride in our culture, in our history. Lebanese and Syrians and Arabs in general are generous people. They're nice people. They're hospitable. They can't do it anymore because they're becoming poor and becoming displaced and becoming dislocated, families, dislocated areas, villages, displaced, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, everywhere.
Is there a role for the international community to play? I mean, is there a call that Lebanon is drafting to the international community, has already come out, or and I'm just amplifying that question, is there a specific role that can be played by the ecumenical movement as well, the global ecumenical movement?
Well, we have to say that the global ecumenical movement and the international community, but mainly the ecumenical movement, are doing a fine job with us in general. They're generous, they're helpful, as we say in French, avenant. They're very positive with us. So there's no problem. I don't know if they can make help us further. I mean, the quantity is important here. I mean, when you have more medicines coming, more children milk coming, more instruments coming, this will help. I mean, quantity is important in terms of funding or providing with material resources, medical or else or other. So the international community can help in denouncing more what's going in Lebanon and shedding more light on what's going in Lebanon.
You've been following the work consular churches in many areas, and there's something that we have been experiencing worldwide since our last assembly in 2013, which is called the Pilgrimage of Justice and Peace. And after hearing your sharing, I can only imagine that the concept of justice is very closely related in your reality to combating corruption, and how you relate the concept of peace in your context, in that same conceptual framework.
I mean, peace is the product of justice. Without peace, there is no justice. Justice is the key for peace, and nobody ever dreams of justice of peace without having justice. The human being, after getting from nature to culture, in nature he was in the forest, in the jungle, fighting each other. When he came to culture, as per Montesquieu, it's the rule of law. It's the setting of law, and law organizes everything. As law is the key for justice, and justice is the key for peace. In Lebanon, we talk too much about the civil justice, السلم الأهلي, or the social justice. Yes, but we don't have it. We don't have it. We are not a country which is ready for justice. For this, we are far from peace. And I really fear the worst in the very coming weeks or very few months.
Thank you very much.
It's boiling up a lot.
Thank you very much for your time and for this interview.
Thank you. All the best at your place.
Yeah.